Annie Oakley and the Kraken of the Deep. The sun hung low over the Wild West, casting a golden glow across the dusty plains. Annie Oakley, the petite yet formidable sharpshooter, stood at the center of the bustling town square. Her reputation as the Little Sure Shot had spread far and wide, tales of her impeccable aim and fearless spirit captivating audiences across the country. She had outshot cowboys, dazzled royalty, and proven time and again that her size belied her strength. Her life was a testament to grit and determination, with every challenge met head-on. Annie's fame came from her daring performances with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, where her sharpshooting amazed audiences across the globe. She once shot the ash off a cigarette held in her husband's mouth, a feat few would dare attempt. It was no surprise that she was sought after for challenges, both great and small, her skills making her a legend of her time. Annie Oakley wasn't just a sharpshooter, she was a symbol of bravery and unshakable confidence. One quiet evening, as Annie cleaned her custom Winchester rifle, a shadowy figure approached her cabin door. The man, clad in a long coat dripping with seawater, hesitated for a moment before handing her a sealed letter. "Miss Oakley," he began, his voice trembling with urgency. "We need your help. Something monstrous is destroying ships and taking lives. Only someone with your skills can stop it." Annie raised an eyebrow, intrigued but cautious. Opening the letter under the soft light of an oil lamp, she read the chilling accounts. The seas had become a graveyard, with entire fleets vanishing into the depths. Survivors spoke of enormous tentacles and a monstrous roar that echoed across the waves. The letter came from a powerful maritime council who believed the ancient Kraken was no longer just a myth. Annie's task was to uncover the truth and put an end to the terror gripping the seas. Annie's heart raced, but she was no stranger to danger. Her mind flashed back to the countless challenges she had faced before. If she could outshoot the best marksman in the world, surely she could face down a sea monster. She accepted the mission without hesitation, knowing that turning away would mean more lives lost. She packed her rifle, ammunition, and a small keepsake, a silver coin her father had given her for luck. Fun fact, Annie Oakley once fired a shot so precise that she split a playing card in two while it was in midair. Would you dare challenge her to a shooting contest? Let us know in the comments. As the man led her to the waiting ship, Annie glanced back at the plane she called home. This mission would take her far from the familiar landscapes of the West, but her resolve remained steady. The thought of facing something as terrifying as the Kraken was daunting, but Annie Oakley had never been one to shy away from a fight. Legends of the Kraken had circulated for centuries, whispered in hushed tones by sailors in candlelit taverns. The monster was said to be a leviathan of unimaginable size, with tentacles long enough to drag ships beneath the waves and eyes that glowed like lanterns in the abyss. Most dismissed the stories as sailors' yarns, but recent events painted a more terrifying picture. The seas were no longer safe, and even the bravest captains feared venturing out too far. The Maritime Council's letter detailed a string of unexplained disasters. Entire fleets had disappeared without a trace, their wreckage later found scattered along distant shores. Survivors spoke of shadowy shapes lurking beneath their ships, followed by sudden violent attacks. One account described a sailor staring into an enormous glowing eye just before being pulled into the depths. The Kraken wasn't just a legend anymore, it was a living nightmare. The Perseverance, a sturdy ship built for long voyages, was chosen for Annie's mission. Its captain, Elias Moreau, was a grizzled mariner with years of experience navigating treacherous waters. He had seen his share of storms and sea monsters, or so he claimed, but even he seemed uneasy about their task. "The Kraken isn't just a beast," he told Annie as they prepared to set sail. "It's the sea's wrath, awakened by forces we don't understand." Annie spent the first days aboard the Perseverance, learning the ways of the sea. The ship's crew, a mix of hardened sailors and curious explorers, shared their stories of near encounters with the Kraken. One man described the eerie silence that always preceded an attack, while another spoke of the bone-chilling roar that followed. Annie listened intently, her sharp mind piecing together clues that might give her an edge in the battle to come. The deeper they sailed into uncharted waters, the more ominous the atmosphere became. Strange currents pulled at the ship, and the crew reported seeing massive shadows moving beneath the waves. At night, the sea glowed faintly, as if illuminated by an unseen source. Annie couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Her rifle remained close at hand, ready for whatever might emerge from the depths. Icebreaker. If you had to face the Kraken, what weapon or tool would you bring? Share your answer in the comments and let's see who's ready to take on the sea monster. As the crew prepared for their encounter, Annie worked tirelessly to craft specialized ammunition for her rifle. She had studied accounts of the Kraken's thick hide and knew that conventional bullets wouldn't be enough. Using tips from the ship's blacksmith, she designed bullets capable of piercing even the toughest armor. She wasn't just preparing for a fight, she was preparing for survival. Annie found herself among a crew of seasoned sailors and adventurers aboard the Perseverance, a sturdy ship that had weathered its share of storms and sea battles. Captain Elias Moreau, with his grizzled beard and weathered eyes, led the crew. His voice carried the authority of decades at sea, but Annie noticed a tension in his words when he spoke of the Kraken. It wasn't fear exactly, but a deep respect for the creature they were chasing. The Kraken isn't just a beast, he warned her. It's the sea's judgment on us, and judgment never comes lightly. As they sailed further into uncharted waters, the crew began sharing their own harrowing tales of the deep. One sailor spoke of a ship swallowed whole, the screams of his crewmates muffled by crashing waves. Another told of glowing tentacles slicing through the darkness like lightning. Though the men tried to mask their unease with bravado, Annie could see the fear in their eyes. She, however, remained calm, her mind focused on the task at hand. During the journey, Annie spent hours preparing for the inevitable confrontation. She fashioned special ammunition with steel tips designed to pierce even the toughest of hides. She practiced firing at moving targets, simulating the Kraken's thrashing tentacles. Her determination inspired the crew, who began to see her not as a landlubber, but as their secret weapon. Annie Oakley was no ordinary sharpshooter. She was a force of nature. One night, as the ship glided through eerily calm waters, they stumbled upon a derelict vessel. The sea wind was adrift, its sails shredded and its hull scarred with enormous suction marks. The deck was eerily silent, save for the creak of wood as the waves rocked the ship. Captain Moreau led a small party aboard, with Annie at his side. Inside the captain's cabin, they found a logbook with a chilling final entry. It watches, "We are not alone." The discovery rattled the crew, but Annie only tightened her grip on her rifle. "If it's watching," she said, her voice steady, "then it knows we're coming, and I'll be ready." Her confidence was contagious, and the men began to steel themselves for the battle ahead. They were no longer just sailors, they were warriors, united by a common goal. Challenge for you. If you were on Annie's crew, what role would you take? Would you be the fearless captain, the brave sailor, or the sharpshooter like Annie? Let us know in the comments. As the Perseverance ventured deeper into the Kraken's territory, the signs of the beast's presence grew more ominous. Strange currents tugged at the ship, and the water shimmered with an unnatural glow. The air grew thick with tension, but Annie remained undaunted. She had faced impossible odds before, and she wasn't about to let a sea monster break her spirit. The attack came at dawn, just as the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon. Without warning, the calm waters exploded as enormous tentacles shot into the air, wrapping around the Perseverance with terrifying speed. The crew shouted in alarm, scrambling to their stations as the Kraken's monstrous eye emerged from the depths, its glow piercing through the morning mist. The beast let out a deafening roar that seemed to shake the very air around them. Annie was already in motion. She climbed to the crow's nest, her rifle slung over her shoulder and her custom ammunition strapped to her belt. From her vantage point, she could see the full scope of the Kraken's massive body, a living mountain of flesh and tentacles. "Aim for the base of the tentacles!" she shouted to the crew below, her voice cutting through the chaos. The men followed her lead, firing harpoons and cannons at the beast, but their weapons seemed to do little more than irritate it. The Kraken retaliated with brutal force, smashing its tentacles against the ship and sending splinters flying through the air. Annie steadied her rifle and took aim at one of its glowing eyes. Her first shot hit its mark, causing the beast to recoil with a screech that sent chills down the spines of everyone aboard. But the Kraken was far from defeated. It thrashed wildly, creating massive waves that threatened to capsize the ship. Fun fact, did you know some ancient sailors believed the Kraken was so large it could be mistaken for an island? They'd anchor their ships to what they thought was land, only to realize too late that it was the beast's back. Annie noticed something strange, an area near the Kraken's eye where the flesh seemed softer, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. There's its weak spot, she thought, formulating a plan. She grabbed an explosive charge and strapped it to an arrow, knowing this would be her best shot at stopping the beast. "Cover me!" she yelled to the crew as she prepared to take her shot. The Kraken roared again, this time swinging a tentacle directly toward the crow's nest. Annie dove out of the way, just in time, clutching her rifle as the wooden platform splintered beneath her. She held her breath and aimed, her heart pounding as she steadied her hand. With one final prayer, she fired the explosive-tipped arrow. It soared through the air, striking the Kraken's weak spot with pinpoint accuracy. The resulting explosion shook the sea, and the Kraken let out a final, earth-shaking roar. Its massive body began to sink beneath the waves, blood pooling on the surface as it disappeared into the abyss. The crew of the Perseverance erupted into cheers, their relief palpable as the threat was finally vanquished. Annie, bruised but unbroken, climbed down from the wreckage of the crow's nest and surveyed the scene. The aftermath of the battle was both somber and triumphant. The Perseverance was battered, its hull scarred and its sails tattered, but it had survived. The crew gathered on the deck, their faces etched with exhaustion and relief. Captain Moreau approached Annie, his expression one of gratitude and awe. "You saved us," he said simply, tipping his hat. "You saved us all." Annie, ever humble, waved off the praise. "It was a team effort," she replied, though the crew knew it was her courage and skill that had turned the tide. She glanced out at the horizon, where the sun was beginning to rise over calm waters. The sea, once a place of terror, now seemed peaceful, a testament to their victory. News of the Kraken's defeat spread quickly, making Annie Oakley a legend not just of the Wild West, but of the high seas. The Maritime Council honored her with a medal, and ballads were written about her bravery. Yet Annie remained grounded, returning to her quiet life with her rifle and her memories of the adventure that had taken her beyond anything she'd ever imagined. Question for you. If you could rewrite history, what other legends or heroes would you pit against mythical creatures? Comment your ideas. Who knows, they might inspire the next epic tale. Though the Kraken was defeated, Annie knew the sea held more mysteries than answers. As she rode off into the sunset, her thoughts turned to the countless challenges that lay ahead. But one thing was certain. No matter the foe, Annie Oakley would always face it with courage, precision, and an unshakable belief in the power of the human spirit. Her story would be told for generations, a tale of bravery in the face of the unknown, and a reminder that even the greatest of legends start with a single shot. Enjoy the adventure? Don't forget to like, share, and comment. What mythical creature should Annie face next? A dragon, a hydra, or perhaps a phoenix? Let us know your thoughts.